Welcome back to another episode with that weapon behind me there. Now, the last episode you guys saw, I was a bit deflated at the end of the episode because I actually found rust in the truck here that I wasn't really expecting. It's a big job that I wasn't expecting to do time-wise, financially. But I sat down and thought about it. So at the end of the episode, I was looking for a panel beater, a fabricator to come in, cut this rust out, and weld in new panels. And it's obviously going to cost time and money. But that means that I can be upstairs editing in the office the last film trip that I just did. And then I was sitting around thinking about it. I couldn't find anyone at first, which is a bit of a blessing. I'm really fussy. I'm really particular about everything that I do. And most times when I get a job done, I'm disappointed and I wish I had done it myself. And I was like, I'm just going to do this myself. So this is going to be a really fun episode. We're going to be cutting the rust out of the gutter up the top there and in that top sill, out of both sides of the floor pan. There's a little bit of rust in both sides. It's worse on the driver's side. So basically cut that whole floor out. We're going to go pick up some sheet metal this afternoon and we're going to weld it all in. Weld it all in and then start the process of sanding the whole truck back, bogging up anything that needs to be bogged, and then we're spraying it. We're going to do a primer and then we're going to actually spray the colour onto it. The colour, I will get to it a little bit later in the episode. I don't want to tell you guys yet, but I have just picked up, I'm going to tell you guys the colour. I'm going to go with a Mercedes grey, I think it's called, or selenite, which is like a dark metallic kind of grey. So dark metallic grey with a texture coat, like a black texture coat on all the flares. The tanks will end up being texture coat. The full front bar, the bar work going up over the roof and the roof rack, the tray, if I didn't already say the tray, all the boxes around the tray. So it's going to be like that black and metallic grey colour scheme. I've just got the texture coats, TXT coating from Car Builders. I've just got a kit of that, and the reason I got that stuff, it's super tough, but it's that tough texture coat which it's just really hard wearing in the bush for things like the tray, things like the side steps, the bull bar, all that stuff that's going to get knocked by trees and stuff out in the bush. I'm able to just touch it up when I get home. That's why I like this product. And Car Builders, you can't go wrong with Car Builders. I've got their product in the truck. I've used it before. And it was so impressive with like the underlay, the sound deadener, that kind of stuff that I wanted to give it a crack with the paint. They just make great gear. So that's going to do all the tray and everything. And then the truck's going to look real sexy, this colour, I think. It's either that or they do that same colour but in a Magna, I think it's called, which is like a satin matte kind of finish. But I think it might scratch a bit more, so I'm not quite sure there yet. But let's rip in, let's start cutting this rust out of the floor and then get up to the roof. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. All right, let's have a break from that bloody grinder and trying to hammer those floor pans out of the Unimog. Shoot down here to Mission Build, down here in Noosaville on the Sunshine Coast, and check out the progress on the Canopy. The Canopy, the kitchen boxes, the rear toolboxes. What else are they doing? They're doing all sorts of stuff. They're going to do the frame for the back for the tinny and the quad bike under it. A ladder up the side of the cab to the roof rack. They're going to build a roof rack and then bars coming down to the bull bar, or down that way, down to the bonnet, like scrub bars to protect them from trees and stuff. So they're doing all that. Now, Mission Built, if you don't know who Mission Built are, they're a fabrication company here on the Sunshine Coast that specialise in trays and canopies for off-road use and for touring Australia and things like that. They've been with me now for 5 years. From day dot, when I started Wild Reaches, they put the first canopy on my Land Cruiser, and it's been absolutely brilliant. And we've been partnering ever since, giving them feedback on how these things go up there in the bush, and they're constantly tweaking their designs and growing the team and just doing cool things. So that's why I'm using Mission Build. They're absolute legends, become like family to me, and I'm keen to see what they can come up with for this Unimog. It's obviously a very different project. They're doing these days a lot of like F250s and Dodge Rams, these big Chevy Silverados, things like that. Lots of 79 series Land Cruisers, and this Ram is, it's huge. This Unimog is huge and quite different, but I'm sure they're going to nail it.
Yeah.
So you got to teach me whatever you can today.
Yeah.
Anything that you... Oh, look at all that. Yeah. surprised I didn't melt more cables.
Yeah, you're close.
Yeah, they're the ones I was covering up. But it was one of these down here that got hit.
Yeah.
I'll fix that soon. So what's the process here?
Alright, so pretty much just undo everything. We've got it. That's the exhaust bracelet, so we've got to get that off first.
Yep.
Try and leave that off. And we'll get the exhaust out of the way. And we'll pretty much just start unbolting all that. That should come out pretty easy. We've got heaps of access anyway.
Yeah, okay. Doesn't look too hard. What do we got to do?
We'll undo all these brackets. Got plenty of bolts to get off around the bell housing.
And take this drive shaft out.
Rip that one out. Take some of these linkages off. I don't know if we need to move this. Just thinking how we're going to get the crane in here.
Yeah, it looks like it'd be much easier to get that out without that there.
Yeah.
Good morning, guys. We are back at it again today, and the truck, this is a very exciting day. The truck today is getting its first lick of paint. It's been a crazy 10 days or so, you know, cutting the floor out of the truck on both sides and welding in the new floor pans. That went really well. And one thing I've done, what we noticed, Opie and I were in the truck here one night, and Opie noticed that this side has this cutaway. Now, these Unimogs were a left-hand drive when they came out, before they came across to Australia. And being left-hand drive, this footwell here has more space for the accelerator. The other side in the Unimogs is really squishy. So I decided to cut the floor to match this side. Now, this could go either way. I think it's going to be fine because this truck has a big lift in it. But when the suspension compresses and the tyres come up, that's why companies like Unidan do a 100mm body lift on the cab of these trucks if they're going to cut the floor pan, because it gives you that extra room underneath for the tyres and everything to expand and compress, you know. So this does have a big lift, doesn't have a body lift, has a big suspension lift, and I'm hoping it's not going to scrub there. I don't think it will, but it's giving me heaps more room. So that was really cool. To me, that was worth doing. The welding, everything went really good. The floors are in, all the rust is gone. I also cut the rust out of, I'll show you guys. We've also cut all the rust out of here. So I cut a big section out and fabricated a new piece of sheet metal and welded it up in there, and just ran some body filler over. I've got to sand it again, but ran some body filler over here just to finish it off. And that's the section of the floor there you can see. That worked really well. Fabricated a couple of brackets here to get that accelerator shaft back in. So everything, that's a grease nipple, everything's good there. I've got to remask the interior now. Ready for paint, I'll do that. And we cut another section out of here and fabricated a bit of steel up into there. That worked really well. All the rust is gone. Across the front here, these sections, this needs a little bit more filler in it. There's just a couple of little, what do you call them, like pinholes. that need fill. But what I'm going to do is today is spray the truck 2 coats of like a primer, really good quality primer. And then I'll go over the whole truck with body filler and just do any skim coats that I need to do. Sand that off, another coat of primer, and then it's colour next week. Now we do have rain coming. Today's the perfect day to spray. I got this ready last night, as you can see, this little spray booth here. And we had, it was just getting too late in the day and I didn't want to rush the work, didn't want to rush the paint job. So I'd put so much time into the prep for the paint that you just don't want to rush that last bit. So I just went over everything with, or all the like bare metal spots with an epoxy primer, which I'm going to take off now with 320 grit, and we'll be ready for paint. So that's what we're doing. I was getting it ready for paint, and then Cameron from Lockednlifted, a mate of mine, I'll show you his Unimog now. He's got an awesome Unimog. He's got the same kit as me from Mog Central, so the turbo, the intercooler, and the exhaust, and a heap of other cool stuff. But he had some spare time. He called and said, I'll come and help you throw yours in because mine arrived. So rather than paint, we jimmied up this like a gantry, steel gantry here, put a bit of a frame on the top there, welded that in, and we actually had 2 posts which are over the back now to support this spray booth, but 2 posts on either side, and then used the cruiser winch to come in here to a pulley here, and then up to this saber pulley at the top, and then down to the hook here on the cab, and we were able to tilt the cab right up, which was sketchy at first, but it worked really well. Cut a steel brace to go in the existing, these Unimogs have like a male and female end for a big gas strut to go, not a gas strut, a big, what do you call them, like a ram, a hydraulic ram to go in, but they're about $8,000 and I can't afford doing that. So, but it does have the spot there for it. So we made up a steel member to brace it up. So once the winch was on there, we lifted it up, put the brace in as well for a bit of extra safety, and then got in there and started fitting everything. Luckily I had Cam because he knows exactly what he's doing. He's such a legend. And he helped me do the turbo and the intercooler. As we went to fit the exhaust, we realized it's not going to fit because of the PTO, which I wanted to pull out anyway because I pulled the winch off. As you guys saw in episode 1, that PTO has to go. So it took us like, I don't know, an hour or so to work out how we're going to get that much weight out without an engine hoist, and then probably 2 or 3 hours to actually get it out. And it turned out it wasn't too bad. We had to move a few things under there, which are all back in place now, but we got it out, and now we're just waiting on the new bell housing and the longer, it's going to be a longer drive shaft from Mog Central as well. It's coming up on a truck right now as we speak, and we'll throw that in hopefully on Monday or Tuesday. So we got it done, thanks to Cam, absolute legend. Go check them out, Lockednlifted, or Cameron and Michaela on Instagram. Really cool couple, doing cool things. They've got a YouTube channel too, so go check them out. The tyres have arrived, and the bonnet, hang on, let me get some light. And the bonnet and the grill, I had a call from Unidan down there on the Gold Coast, and the bonnet, and no, not the bonnet, the grill and the front bar are ready to pick up on Tuesday this week. So I'm going to wait till Tuesday to put colour on the truck because I want to pick the grill up, which means I have to cut my bonnet to suit the new grill, sand all that up, get it ready, and then paint everything in one hit so I don't do 2 different mixes and get a slightly different colour bonnet to the rest of the truck. So that's the plan, guys. Let's get some primer on this truck. One step closer to colour.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go. Yeah, I was building on a lecture. Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on applying the scheme. The true style trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking one shot for the kill. The breeze come freeze up, straight dropping the chills. I'm talking.
So I'm using a 2-pack. It's called a high build primer. So the purpose of this is like a filler primer. So any little tiny imperfections on the truck, any scratches or like tiny stone chips, this should fill them. And I'm going to give it 2 coats. So 2 coats, and they'll be like wet coats. So I'm going to go around the truck and then just keep going around the truck again. And then once it dries, I'll be able to, if this hasn't filled everything, I'll do like a skim coat of body filler, particularly on the roof because there are a couple of spots I missed, and then sand them back and put another like spray coat over those spots with this same stuff. Give it a light sand back to probably 320 grit before I do the colour coat.
Taking over pieces and shares, a bomb sky high, check the movement is here, yeah. It's one heart, one shot, now the future is yours, go! I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula in chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake.
Alright, that's 2 coats on the truck and it's just started raining outside. But I reckon these coats will be dry. It's had like, I probably had an hour before it started raining. The paint went on pretty good. It looks really thick, which is good for sanding. That's what this primer coat is all about, nice and thick so you can sand it back. But all the patches I've done like this look really neat. So here, you can't even see it. We've cut a fresh bit of panel in there and bent it in there to shape, and same on the inside here, on this top edge. So you remember what the rust was like up there before, and we cut it out. And these, there's a video of me sort of standing here like this, leaning on it, and that was full of rust, so that's all been cut out. So yeah, it's looking good, one step closer.
And what's for dinner?
Burgers.
Burgers?
Yep.
Yum! My mommy. Sushi bowls and the burgers.
What a weekend.
And then Carol slice tomorrow.
I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula in chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake.
Alright, so I ended up picking up a new grill. Not grill, a new one. Well, I did get a new grill yesterday, but I ended up picking up a new or second-hand hatch, the lid for the top of the Unimog, because mine, I'll show you mine. If you go back to that first episode I showed you, it's the worst rust in the whole truck pretty much. All around here was trashed, all along here, and on the underside you can hear the rust moving in there, look at that. So yeah, I think that was letting a lot of moisture into the cab, and that's why the ceiling, you can see the ceiling here, it's got all these stains on it. And now the whole truck is done the way I want it, really well. All the rust is cut out, everything's sealed really well. Once it's painted, I want to know and trust that that rust isn't in there coming back from the inside out. So picked up this hatch from Unidan, second-hand hatch that they pulled off one of their trucks, because they're constantly doing like roof lifts on these trucks and putting overhead consoles and stuff up in the roof of the trucks, and no longer need the hatches. So that could be something I do one day, but for now, pretty happy just leaving it with a hatch. I reckon it's pretty cool. I reckon it'd be cool to be able to have the rooftop tent up on top of the canopy at the back there, and be able to get in up through the hatch and into the tent, but I probably can't do that because of the roof rack I'm going to build. So, but for now, I've just cut the little bits of rust that were in here, just there and there. I'll show you guys this rust converter now. It's called Deoxit. That's it there. Metal conditioner and rust remover. That's the one that I've used because it was recommended. So the process with that is put it on with like a scourer, toothbrush, wire brush, something like that, and really scratch it in and let it sit for about 15 minutes for it to set, but you don't want it to go dry, so do it in the shade like this, and then wash it off with fresh water and then wipe it down with metho, like a nice clean rag with metho on it. Give it a wipe down, and then you need to seal it, I think within 20 minutes, like you want to seal it as quick as you can with a primer. so that that surface, then that raw metal surface, doesn't get moisture on it and start to rust again. So that's the process. And I think this is the last bit of rust that I need to do. So my plan today, I don't know if I'll get any colour on today, but the sun is out, which is epic. So my plan today is to get these doors finished, the hatch finished, and then paint all these with a primer. Paint the bonnet with the primer. I need to cut the bonnet down, then paint that. Possibly paint the grill. I'm not sure if I need to. I need to look at that and see what surface it is. I might be able to rub it down. And that might just take the coloured coat straight up, which would be great. So yeah, then everything is prepped. Everything's patched. What else am I going to do? Yeah, like fit the grill and the bonnet then, because there's like a mechanism inside there that I need to install into the engine bay. So fit that and then take it back off. Hang everything up, hang the doors and everything up ready for their top coat. And then from there I might just start sanding and painting all the black items, which are like the seats, the seat bases and the fire extinguisher holders and things like that for inside the cab. The mirrors, the mud guards, all that stuff for outside the cab. Start getting all that ready, because I wasn't keen to do that until I actually had the winch mount and the front bar from Unidan, because I want to try and match this finish. So that's like, oh, dirty. That's like a nice texture coat. And I've got the car builder's texture coat in that same colour, but there's obviously different ways. I mean, you can set your gun to sort of get whatever finish you want. And I want to do the best I can to try and match that, because the wings are going to come off the side of here, the existing wings. And I really want them to match that. And then take that finish right through the back, the tray, the mud guards, the steps, even these tanks. I should really do those tanks, but that's a big job. I might do that once everything else is done. I can then pull the tanks off and hit that. These trucks are like, where do you stop? There's so much to do. When Cam was here the other day, you saw we literally ripped all the wires out. So we're going to start fresh with wiring. There's heaps to do, guys, but really exciting. So this is the finish on the grill I'm talking about. I haven't even looked at that yet. I don't know whether that's a gel coat in the fiberglass. I think it is. So I'll talk to the guys at Custom Paint and Industrial and pick their brain. I think I can just rub that back with like some 240 grit and then get the colour straight on there, because that's a good base, you know. They were saying when I start spraying this truck that the first coat is going to be like see-through. So, and then your second and third you start to build up some colour. Whereas this grill, being black, it should take that colour really well. That's so exciting, it's all starting to come together. I can't wait to get this colour. What a day. I didn't get quite as close to getting done what I wanted to get done, but it was still a good day, and tomorrow is now going to be colour. So you can see the grill has had 2 coats of prep, the bonnet's had 2 coats of prep, the lids had 2 coats of prep, which is really good. The bonnet's been cut. I didn't film that part, I forgot to film it, but I had to cut the bonnet to suit the new grill. I had to cut off, the bonnet normally has from here it comes down about 150 mil and runs along there, so I had to cut that off to take this new grill. And everything in here, the doors are done, 2 coats on those doors. What else? And the truck, all the patches have been sprayed over as well. So tomorrow the whole truck is going to need a rub back with 240 grit. Actually, because I'm going a metallic colour, I'm going to go 240 grit, 240, 320, 400. I think we're going to go up to 500 grit, basically 500 or 600. So the whole thing is going to need a lot of sanding again. Everything is prepped and ready to paint. I didn't film yesterday. I literally spent like 8 hours or more sanding. I sanded the whole truck again, the doors, the bonnet, the grill, the whole truck, everything 4 more times, getting it to 500 grit. And it's boring stuff, you don't want to see that. But it's all super smooth now, down to 500 grit. So because I'm using a metallic color, I've done a dry sand, I haven't done wet sand, but I've gone down to up to 500 grit, so it's super smooth. Morning guys. Well, it's all happening today, wrapping up lots of different things, but the truck is painted and I'm absolutely wrapped. I'm over the moon with the finish. I think it'll come up really good, so have a bit of a squeeze. So you can see on the inside, I've just painted the pillars around the head there, that rear pillar, the gear levers and these side panels and the shelf. But everything else in there is going to be either body deadener and carpeted, or just going to have that stretch carpet over the top, all from car builders. And that's going to be in the next episode next episode maybe, or the episode after, where I fit out the whole interior, you know, overhead console, put the UHF in, put the stereo in, you know, carpet, do all that stuff, put the seats back in there. I'm picking them up this week. I've seen a photo and they look mint. This truck is going to come up an absolute treat. So excited. But yeah, I'm really wrapped with the finish of the paint. There were only a couple of little mishaps. Someone climbed up on here, and even though I said do not touch it, it's still wet. I've got 3 fingerprints up there in the clear coat, but we're going to be building a ladder up there anyway. So after a bit of a meltdown, I realised that's not a big deal. This one's my fault. I've got a good run all the way through here on the grill. When I was spraying, I was leaning right over and I thought the nozzle was the other way. I thought it was spraying like with the fan the way I wanted it, but it was the other way. So that got too thick. Got a good run there. And the bonnet, again, this is all just in the clear coat, but the bonnet I had to spray outside, and lots of just stuff from the trees landed in there, and I'm gonna have to sand that back. Probably sand back 2 coats of the clear and put another 2 coats of clear back on. So today, putting everything back together in a way. I've started painting all the black items with the texture coat, which is the TXT from Car Builders. That's been really good, but there's still heaps more to do. They need another coat. I've still got to do the steps. I've still got to do the guards. I'm going to paint the back of this today with the texture coat, the TXT. These bars here, because you see them when the front bar is mounted. And the trick is I'm trying to get it to look like a powder coat finish from Unidan, which is proving to be quite tricky. So I'm just practicing on different pieces, trying to get that real fine finish like that. Right now, this is kind of just boring stuff, so I'm not filming it all, but this guard I've just found has a seam in it, and at some point it's like cracked and started to rust. That rust has started moving, and of course popped the whatever this is. It's like a really thick bog or something. It started to pop that, and then let more water in, and then it's popping all off. So I'm just digging it all out. Anything that's loose there, then I'll scratch it all up real good. Put some wax and grease remover in there, clean it right out, get rid of that rust, and which isn't much, it's the surface. And then bog that, well not bog it, but body filler. And then put the TXT, the texture coat, over the top of that. The bell housing has arrived, and the drive shaft from Mog Central. So Cam's coming this week, and we're gonna tilt the cab back up and put that back in. But I'm heading off. I've got to fly out up to into the Gulf. Not fly. I'm going to drive in a 79 up to the Gulf, catch up with Jordo, and go chase some barra around Normanton and up to Kawanyama. Catch up with all the families in Kawanyama. So I'm going to drag the tinny out of here, get it up onto the toy hauler over there, pack the cruiser, and hit the road later this week. So the truck's going to be sitting here for a few weeks, unfortunately, and hopefully while I'm gone, the boys at Mission Built will get that canopy and all that stuff sorted for me. And then when I get back, it's literally just putting the whole thing back together and taking on a test run. And the other thing I'm doing is, this is what I mean about just little fiddly bits that you guys don't really need to see, but these are the trims, the window trims that go inside the doors. So I need to, I've primed them with an edge primer, and now I need to get some satin black on them, get them back in so I can start putting the doors back together. Then I can put the mirrors back together, put the doors back on the truck, put the rubbers back in, put the doors back in the truck, and that's what I want to see. And that's what Opie said too. It looks really cool, but until you see one big full panel like with the door in, it's really hard to tell. But either way, I love it. I'm absolutely stoked.
like that. So this V-band here needs to twist. So that bit of pipe you're going to go this way and this side's going to go that way.
Hey? I can't hear the turbo over this bloody motor.